So, peace. How's everybody doing tonight? I want to thank the Insurgency, Greg, and I want to thank the Phoenix Café for having me here. This is an important issue, and I just especially want to thank them for making me think about it, concentrate on it, learn about it, and I wrote some things down to share with you tonight, how I feel about it, put in my own words, some things that we heard tonight and some things we'll hear later, and this is called Matricide. A waste isolation pilot plant is a deep geological repository licensed to permanently dispose of radioactive waste for 10,000 years. But that's the irony. It's not permanent, just temporary. What happens after 10,000 years? Nobody gives a Fukushima. That's what happens. One of these radioactive graves is in New Mexico, only 26 miles east of Carlsbad, and I feel so sad for those people because 2,000 feet underground is not deep enough when those bunkers break and irradiate all the lands and the lakes. The earth is not a toilet for the rich. She's not a personal trash can for humans with enough money and enough laws to incorporate themselves. We're matricidal murderers. We stripped my Mother Earth and gave her nuclear enemas. Then we promised her they wouldn't break. But the truth remains. The single biggest expense of the nuclear power industry is the storage of nuclear waste, of which spent fuel rods from nuclear reactors are the most radioactive. 99% of radiation from nuclear waste comes from so-called spent fuel rods, so-called depleted uranium. What's wrong with rich people's craniums? There is still no permanent storage site for spent fuel rods because they remain radioactive for millenniums. In fact, the waste from this generation may survive mankind itself. But all we see today is today because we're focused on war, because we're focused on wealth. Never mind the health of our children, our planet, ourselves. They tell you we're storing them now, but it's quite contrary. The storage we use is just temporary. Wet and dry storage were the only real options in the first place. The third option was that we shoot them up into outer space. But what would happen if it all fell down like nuclear rain, like black rain, like Nagasaki again? Wet storage is used on-site at nuclear facilities. Rods are dropped in cement-lined pools filled with boric acid for 6 months, but it's really more like 6 years because there's no place to permanently store them, not in my backyard. So the pools are enlarged, increasing the chance that the rods will go critical. It's all political. They never talk about it now because they know spent rods have nowhere to go. Dry storage is shoving the reinforced cast and concrete bunkers back into the earth. But this is only after 6 years in the wet storage pool. Then it's cool to drill them into Mother Earth like enemas, and they claim it's all right. But if they leak for any reason, it's a long kiss goodnight, because it will leach into the fields and the water, and then into us from the fish and the fodder. Dividends now versus thinking of our future. We put so many holes in the earth, she needs sutures. It takes thousands of years before depleted uranium cells become stable. Think about that when dinner's served up on the table. A world full of cancer patients seems kind of eerie, but it's more possible than the Big Bang Theory. Then the days of men will end, and a new era will start, because we have poisoned the earth to our hearts. That's how it will end unless we begin organizing and paying attention. And before I go, one more thing I forgot to mention. Things we think are safe no longer. Farmers grow weak as Monsanto grows stronger. Food we take for granted are now tainted. This is the future our greed has painted. We already buy water, so be aware. It won't be too long before we have to buy air.